New Roman building games. If you have a particular ancient empire on your mind, then today I'm bringing you brand new lands to conquer, armies to command, and cities to build. Rome awaits. But do you want to rule in any of these? Let's find out. Rising in this list, but fall of an empire. Now, to be clear about this list, it isn't just Roman-themed games, it is about building an empire, and there needs to be some grander scales to things. Fall of an Empire is a game where you can take control of a vast and ancient realm, and it's calling itself a real-time grand strategy game. So think along the lines of Paradox games, Hearts of Iron, Crusader Kings, that sort of thing, but this is a Roman game. This one has a free demo at the time of recording on Steam if you want to check it out, and it is planning for a Q3 2025 release window. So we will be seeing more of this right now and through the year building up to its release. Now, a unique thing about this game is it's saying it's a grand strategy game that you can't win. You're not going into this game with victory in mind. It's called Fall of an Empire. And Roman-themed games and Roman-themed anything, it always talks about the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. Rise and fall is a big theme when it comes to Roman Empire stuff, and this is all in on the falling bit. And it's not the only one. In this game, you do start looking pretty formidable, but then you quickly realize that things are kind of shaky, and you try to hold on to your grasp on power and land for as long as you can. You're defending your empire in a massive world, and there's supposed to be complex interactions with 12 individual rulers that you need to play off against each other. There's battles and expansive lore, and there's a lot to it. Now, having said all of those promises, with its demo, it is getting a number of feedback and opinions about it, and there could be some roughness and unreadiness with the game in its current state. So that's why free demo is important, and this may turn out to be something good. Before jumping into Fall of an Empire fully, you should double check to see how this turns out later on in the year. And then we have the New Rome. This is calling itself a monumental Roman construction game, and although it does say things like turn-based city-building strategy, I wouldn't label this a city-building game, but it is a game in which you construct structures in a city. You are a master architect, and you are constructing monumental Roman buildings and competing against rival architects to create the most impressive landmarks in the city. So, although it is a game where you build a city, I personally would not call it a city-building game. We could get into that, but it gets complicated. In this one, you are building your marble punk Rome, is the term they're using, and you're managing your resources strategically. You gather essential resources like wood, limestone, clay, marble to advance your building projects, and you are shaping your city's transformation in a 3D space. The whole point of it is that you can build it to your heart's content so that it really feels like it's your city. And through all of this, it is competing against rival builders, other architects in single-player or multiplayer mode, so you could have competitive Roman building in this game. And there's a reputation system, and generally, although it does look a little simple on the visual side, it is an interesting idea. The New Rome, it is aiming for a 2025 release window at the moment, and it's not gotten a lot of attention yet, but maybe the idea alone might be worth a look. Pax Augusta. Now, this is an ancient Roman city builder, and on this channel, that means we've been very hyped for this. Pax Augusta is supposed to be an authentic simulation of ancient Roman times, I suppose as authentic as you can get, and you'll be building flourishing cities, looking after your citizens, earning gold with production and trade of goods, and constructing impressive monuments. You need to strengthen your influence to become Roman emperor. So this is a more realistic approach to Roman city building, and There's supposed to be sandbox modes where you can build and design villages, settlements to huge cities. There's supposed to be a campaign with story mode, so that's always nice to have. And you're dealing with disasters like fires, botched constructions, uprisings of people, barbarians, moody emperors, and you are supposed to have these huge maps to build on. So Pax Augusta does look very good and very promising, though to be honest, visually it does look a little bit more old school. It sort of gives 2006 vibes, particularly with the brown tones, where it's one approach to make things look more realistic, but also there was a time where every game looked like this, and being an older gamer, I just associate this aesthetic with that time. So maybe that's just my eyes and my life, but Pax Augusta does have a lot of promise, and we are very hyped to see where it goes, and we should be able to get a closer look at this over the coming year. Hey, now that you're into the list, I'm sure you're enjoying it, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you can like the video. Get any game on GOG using the link below to support. Also, be sure to check out the Patreon for exclusive videos, including city building Let's Plays. Thank you. Alright, next game. Res Publica. This is more of a life simulation in the Roman Empire. You are a citizen of Rome, and this is calling itself an innovative city builder, life simulation, and role-playing game. And it's kind of just being in Rome is the whole idea. In this one, you get to build your own Roman city, manage your own character, there's a family and household to interact with, and it's all set during the ancient Roman Republic in 150 BCE. You are leading the way for your home and family. You're producing goods and trading. You get to build and manage your own domus. There's gladiator games, and you can visit and host gladiator battles, placing bets, and there's a population system with 4 social classes with its own needs and demands and professions. There's workspaces and workers, seasons with different effects on production and your population. You're creating and managing your own character, which has traits and actions. There's a lot to this one, and they are promising even more on a roadmap with military, politics, gods and religion, multiplayer, a map editor. Res Publica is trying to be, despite its more straightforward visuals, a fully fledged ancient Rome simulator, and it's interesting how it's all coming together. This one has been building towards a release, but nothing is fully promised. But I think if it just delivers on everything it wants to be, Res Publica could be something quite special. But we will have to see if they can actually pull it all together into the final product. Next up, we've got Roman Triumph Survival City Builder. For full transparency, this is a game that has sponsored us in the past, but this is not sponsored. Also, again, pet peeve of mine, I don't like keywords in the title, so we're just calling this Roman Triumph. This is a game that I have played before, and I'll try to just stick to the objective facts here. It's a survival city builder where you are building up a city in a map that's procedurally generated, and you gather resources, construct buildings, you manage your economy, and survive the elements. Meanwhile, as you build up and defend, you are defending against invaders. So there's invading armies and tribes coming to attack your city, but then this is also a fantasy-esque game, so there's mythological beings that come and attack you as well. For example, dragons and hydras, and there's fire-breathing and flying giant lizards in the sky. So Roman Triumph is a survival city builder with a Roman theme, but it is leaning on the more mythological fantasy side of things. So this is one that is planning to enter early access in 2025, but at the time of recording there is also a free demo that you can check out. It has been coming together over time, and we will see how it is at the start of early access, and they're planning to be in early access for about a year. So full release for Roman Triumph in 2026, but it'll be very playable in 2025. The First Explorers. This game is calling itself a Settlers-like game, but it's a bit more city building than the Settlers. This is supposed to be an organic city builder with RTS elements set in the time of antiquity in Europe, and you'll be playing as the Romans, Carthaginians, or Gauls. And you will be building up your economy and society while also trying to defend yourself against threats. This game is supposed to be going into early access first, so it's not going to have a full release in 2025, but it is likely to become very playable, and it is very hyped. This looks really good. Just like visually, it looks really nice to look at, and it seems to have all of the city building elements that people enjoy these days. Just the trailer of this got a lot of attention, and they've been showing off some gameplay, and so much stuff is going into this. But this is an indie development. This is not a big budget game, but it seems to have a lot of taste level, and it really just depends on whether the gameplay holds up to the expectations and the presentation. Now, this is gonna be an ahistorical or historically inspired game, so no fantasy elements. The whole game is about you landing with your ship and crew to build a thriving settlement from scratch, and then you have to defeat all the opponents on the map. So it is Settlers inspired, but not quite exactly the same. It is also saying a single game will last between 1.5 hours to 4 to 5 hours, so that's an expectation for a round of this game. And also, as a bonus point, mod support is planned, so if this does take off, the community could keep developing and adding to it as well. And the whole thing is running in Unreal Engine 5, which some people really appreciate and others worry about. Optimization has been brought up, and it is always a concern with Unreal Engine 5 games where maybe optimization might be tricky for people with older computers. We'll have to see how that all works out. It's hard to judge optimization before the game even releases, let alone it going into early access first. Anyway, the First Explorers is definitely one to watch moving forward for the city building genre. I personally can't wait to see how this one turns out. On a slightly smaller scale, but still empire building-esque, Summa Expeditionis. This is a game where it's a survival, base building and crafting game, but you are part of a Roman legion. You are trying to build the Roman Empire as a soldier, and you are following the career of this soldier from legionnaire to centurion. And although you're not building up cities here, you are still trying to expand the empire, and you do build up your camp and manage and recruit soldiers and face barbarians for the glory of Rome. This one has entered early access to few but mostly positive user reviews on Steam, and it's going to be spending about a year in early access. So it entered early access towards the end of 2024, so we can expect a full release at the end of 2025, but these games can often be delayed, so maybe a 2026 release. It has been getting updates and being improved, and it is a building, crafting, survival game where you're exploring new terra incognita, the final frontier of the empire, and you're fabricating materials and structures and furniture and everything from the resources you collect. Of course, there is combat with hunting and fighting barbarian tribes, and it's all building to ascend your own personal soldier military career to rise through the ranks. So although this is not a full-on building game, it does have some interesting elements to it, and it is still very Roman, so I thought you might be interested in checking out and having a look at Summa Expeditionis. Yield Fall of Rome. Here is one that I've been watching for a little bit, and it's an interesting 4X, maybe gameplay-wise, feeling a bit more on the straightforward side, but visually it is... nothing else quite looks like this. It looks like a woven, a very tactile feeling and looking visual style, and you are playing these kingdoms and empires in this map in a board game fashion. It is a turn-based 4X strategy game. As the world crumbles around you, you are trying to rebuild civilization and shape your people's destiny, using strategy, conquering provinces, and crushing your opponents who stand in your way. Now, this one did release into early access to few but mostly positive user reviews on Steam, so you can see what this game is right now, and they've been updating more content. There's been a hotfix, and there is a roadmap for new campaigns and new factions and buildings and units, and a custom co-op map editor is coming as well, along with multiplayer seasons. So this one is in development still, very clearly, and the early access label is accurate. But having said that, there isn't anything else that really looks like this, and although it does reminisce to many other games gameplay-wise, I think it does have enough unique things which make it worth a look. And they're planning for 12 to 18 months in early access, so full release is gonna be in 2026, but over the year, Yield Fall of Rome might be enticing some of you. Going back to soldiers, but on a grander scale, Roman Empire Wars. This is a military battle simulation kind of strategy game where you are an emperor and you are guiding your legions to victory in battle against foreign armies. You gotta crush your enemies in tactical real-time strategy. Defeating the armies is, again, of course, for the glory of the Roman Empire. So you're guiding your country through uncertain times, and the empire is constantly surrounded by enemy nations. You have to go forth and strike first. You gather your legions, engage in battle, and conquer your enemies. Raging war through Greece, Carthage, Persia, Egypt, and Great Britain. This one is less on the building side and more on the empire expansion side, because you'll be taking part in large battles, and it's supposed to be trying to mimic the real-life war campaigns of the emperors of Rome, but we'll have to see how those particularly play out when we get a closer look at this. And it is also promising historically accurate unit types and military strategies that you can deploy and all of that. This is planning to release in September 2025. Roman Empire Wars might be a kind of battle simulator, but Roman themed. It's showing naval and land combat, so it could be an interesting little one and a bit of a sidestep from all the building, but still empire expansion. For another open-world survival crafting game, Lost Legions. Here you are stranded in a forest after a historical catastrophic defeat. You are a lone soldier surviving in a world. Of course, you're a Roman lone soldier. You're crafting, building, exploring, and fighting in what's promising to be a story-rich open-world adventure. And you can play this alone or with up to 3 friends, so you could be stranded alone or stranded with a few friends. But it is an open-world survival crafting game, and you are gathering resources, building up your base, just exploring this world, and it's supposed to have a deep storyline where there's 4 playable characters and there's soldiers working for you, and then there's the barbarian factions, and everyone you meet has a story for you to uncover. And of course there's mystery where everything might not be quite how it seems. This one has a large handcrafted world, multiple biomes, there's equipment and crafting, a flexible building system so where you can build a small shelter to an entire war camp, and you can claim enemy villages and rebuild them in your own image. So you are kind of founding and conquering and expanding your own mini Roman Empire. Maybe you're saying it's for the glory of the Roman Empire, but really it's kind of for you. And with the backstory and ongoing lore through everything, it could be quite interesting. Now, this one has been going through development and it could be releasing in 2025, but again, with these sorts of games, it's impossible to fully predict when games release. Always remember, even if they give a specific release date, it could just be delayed. It could release early. That sometimes happens, but it is definitely one that I think we should watch through 2025. It could be just another survival game, but it could also be an interesting alternative for you to try. This next one I list with caution, Rome Frontiers. This, at first glance, looks like a Rome builder simulator. Now, simulator being it's supposed to be a realistic construction kind of game. Think House Flipper, that sort of thing. But you're in ancient Rome and building large and small structures alike. But I do have to preface this by saying this is published by Playway, and Playway games can go up or down. Some of them very successful, very popular. Others, can go otherwise. The trailers from Playway games aren't always representative of final gameplay, just to note that. So although Rome Frontiers looks like it has a lot of potential, how real and proper everything we're seeing at the moment is up in the air. Now, promised features is that you'll be building ancient Rome, crafting elements needed for construction, large number of quests to help you finish the constructions, multiple characters, authentic buildings for you to build up from the ground up, and you're building all of this in first-person view. So it is supposed to be a building construction simulator, but also sometimes these announced games just never get released anyway. So Rome Frontiers, I'm putting a note that it is a thing, but I'm not saying that it's going to be good or finished or anything in particular. It's just something that happens to be there right now to look at, and we'll have to see where that goes in the future. Nova Roma. The glory of Rome. You can never get enough of it. And it's actually kind of interesting and not so great that before now, there was pretty much a 15-year gap since the last ancient Roman city builder. And now there's quite a few of them, many upcoming, some released. 5 on this list alone. Ancient Roman city builders were a classic staple to the city building genre, and for some reason we just had a very extended drought of them. Nova Roma, at first glance, might seem like some low-poly indie game, but this one, for sometimes when you check the Steam wishlists, Nova Roma was in the top 3 most wishlisted upcoming city builder. Nova Roma has a lot of people interested in it, and I know some of you will write it off for its low-poly art style, but this one does seem to be promising complex supply chains, gods, laws, meeting the needs of your citizens, liquid water where it actually flows and reacts like water. Although it might visually look more on the straightforward side, the gameplay it's promising is quite complex. And that might be what you're looking for. So don't write it off quite yet just by the look of it. Have a closer inspection onto what the gameplay is actually supposed to be. And it will be releasing in 2025. So Nova Roma is one to watch. A lot of you are already looking forward to it. And if you haven't seen it, then it's worth a peek. And then you can decide for yourself whether you want to get into this particular ancient Roman city builder. Now, speaking of ancient Roman city builders, Pompeii the Legacy. Yes, that's right, we have another ancient Roman city builder on the way, set for 2025, but this one is specifically about Pompeii. You're climbing the social ladder, and Roman society, you know how it is. It's full of intrigue and mystery and subterfuge, and you need to solve these problems in order to become a powerful ruler. This is a city building game where you are dealing with trade and logistics, there's story and characters, and it's promising a living city where your city is dynamic. You construct buildings, you manage resources, and you're ensuring your citizens have everything they need to thrive and survive. But every structure, road, and water supply plays a crucial role in keeping the city alive and prosperous. Also, this one is inspired by historical events. Of course, they're focusing on Pompeii, so the volcano is gonna be a thing. And you'll be trading with neighboring cities. There's research and development to unlock new technologies and philosophy, which allows you to build more stuff, but also do more governance things, like social issues and religion and education. You get to manage all of those things. But then, of course, disaster events, locust swarms, earthquakes, fires, volcanic eruptions, things tend to happen. So this is going to be one that's filled with disasters and dangers. It's called Pompeii, so you can expect Pompeii things to happen. Visually, it looks okay, maybe a little bit older in general, but not the worst. So I would say Pompeii the Legacy is definitely one to watch for 2025. Hey, also, as we're approaching the end of the list, I hope you consider subscribing and checking out the whole playlist of these kind of videos linked below. Thank you. Now, of course, we have to mention Anno 117 Pax Romana, the next Anno game. Not much has been revealed so far, but Anno 1800 has been a massive success, and the Anno series in general has been a massive success. Not all of them have been top tier, but in general, they've been very, very solid. And Anno 117 is the first time it's going to an ancient time, where it's ancient Rome, the Roman Empire, in an Anno game. It's actually hard to believe. It seems like it would be a no-brainer, but they've been avoiding this for a long time. It's very exciting to see where this is gonna go. The screenshots look great so far, but we haven't even really seen that many buildings. Like, we've not seen much at all of Anno 117 Pax Romana. It is scheduled for a 2025 release, but also having said that, this is by Ubisoft, which has been having some rocky times recently, so some caution is warranted, but the Anno series has not been having rocky times. Anno 1800 is one of the best city builders of all time, and it looks great, it plays great, and it's very popular. People love that. They just have to take that and make it Roman and then add some twists and interesting gameplay changes. It can't be exactly the same. They are communicating some ideas at this point about building, trading, and expanding in an ancient Roman world. Will this be the biggest city builder of 2025? Maybe. That was a massive collection of games. Which one was your favorite, and do you think any others deserve a mention? This is of course just one list of many that I've made. Maybe the game you're looking for is in another video on the playlist. Check that linked on screen and down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.